Alrighty then, let's cut this over early. Hey everybody, how you doing out there? You're live with Griff. It is July 27th, 2020. And I'm so glad you're here with me today. It is Monday, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing because it's Monday. It seems like the entire day has just flown away from me. So it's about 3 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. I'm glad you're here. Mastermind IO, see you first out in the chat. Thanks for hanging out, at least for a couple minutes. I'm trying some new things out today with some of my community. So I have this mailing list that I haven't really been taking advantage of. So I'm sending an email blast to my mailing list right now and telling them, hey, I'm live. You should come hang out with me, like all you good people. And we'll see how well that works. But all right, I'm making sure that email went out. Oh, yep, got my unsubscribe like immediately. So I know the email went out. That's a sign of a good. All right, I moved my desk and it screwed up my green screen. Let me fix that real fast. All right. So if you're out there and you're just lurking, at least say hi in the chat. Then you can go back to lurking. That's fine. I love to see people who are out there. Today, we are going to work on, well, I say I'm going to work on, you're just going to watch. I'm working on a course on building APIs with Asp Net Core. And I need to work through some of my thoughts on the next module. The next module, as you can probably tell from the title, is going to be on data manipulation. So basically, if you look at HTTP verbs, you have get, post, put, delete, put, patch, post, put, delete, patch. Yeah, you know what they are. So I just wrapped up not too long ago the module on basically GET request. So let's talk about the concepts behind a GET request, building a simple GET request, and now we want to dive into some more of the details around manipulating data. So that's your posts, your puts, your deletes, and your patches. And the other thing I'd like to really cover in this module is model binding and model validation, which are two really big topics in Asp Net Core. And I thought about giving them their own modules, but I decided, maybe in the long run it's better to just lump this all together into one decent sized module. So when everything's said and done, all the little tidbits of information will probably add up to about 30 minutes of content when it's all said and done. So if you're here with me, just tag along. And let's see. Oh, my email went out. Oh, I love looking at real-time stats for emails that go out. So, I'm not tracking opens. I'm only tracking unsubscribes and bounces. So, yeah, so I won't actually know who gets the email. Oh well, no big deal. I don't need to know that information anyway. All right, so if you're here from the email, say hi. If not, I'm just going to jump into my code. So let's make sure the screen share is up. So one of the things I do is when I'm designing courseware like this live is I don't necessarily want to get into slide production mode. But what I do want to do is I just kind of want to write out my thoughts of working through different examples. And the last time I did this, a couple modules ago, you all did an amazing job of just kind of helped me lead the conversation. Because I actually have to build out some demos, and building out those demos is much easier with you all here. So the thing we're going to actually talk about are the HTTP verbs. So HTTP post, put, delete, and patch. Put, delete, and patch. And this will lead into a conversation on model binding. So model binding is essentially the idea. Let me build an example. I'm going to create a controller, create a new file in here, and we'll just call this product. If I can spell products controller. So in our products controller, we'll inherit from controller base. We'll add API controller to the top. We'll add just a default route. So this will be API/products. And let's assume we had a GET request in here. I'm not going to actually use the GET request. But we're going to create a post. So how do we create a new product in our system? It's going to be a public. We're not going to make it async because this is all demo code. So public I action results, create new product. And this is going to take a product called new product. Now product doesn't exist yet. We have to go create that. This will be an HTTP post request to basically the default route, which is API/products. And my JavaScript is showing. Sorry about that. Let me go create the model for product. So product.cs. And product's going to be pretty simple. We'll just do an ID. We'll give it a name and maybe a price, right? So over in products controller, you know what? Let me add a description as well. Because what I want to do here is I want to talk about model validation. So in model validation, we want to add stuff like required. This is a required field. Oh, it automatically pulled in that. Did it automatically pull that in? All right, so name is required, price is required, description is not required. Say we could do another. We can say max length. Why am I not getting my IntelliSense? Oh, it's probably because I'm in the wrong folder. Let me open this up in its own VS Code example. This is 5.1. Because I want VS Code to jump in and say, hey, I can do stuff for you. Yep. Go and install all the assets. There we go. It's kind of bad. You're expecting the squigglies, but the squigglies aren't there. All right, we want to use data annotations. Yep, that's right. All right, so max length, we'll set max length to 25. And I'm trying to remember what all the data annotations are. There's probably a list of them on docs, isn't there? All right, data annotations, ASP.NET Core. So let's. Oops. All right. Is this going to list them? Yes, it is. All right. So I don't need to talk about all these. So I want string length. String length is what I want. And it takes max length. There's a bunch of them in here. URL. Maybe I want to use that. Do some range. Oh, email address. So a couple of these I'm just going to pull out as examples. So I want to talk about required. I want to talk about email address. I like that as an example. Phone range. Actually, yeah. But what I need to do is I need to put this as, this is a link for myself. One of the things I try to do is when I start talking about, when I'm going to show cherry pick examples, and those examples come from a very large list of other examples. So here I want to talk about the required attribute, the email address attribute, phone number, things that make sense to people because they're commonly used in all applications. If I talk about those three, now obviously that's not all of them. So let's go back into the website and tell people, all right, here's everything you can use. So if you want to know everything that's going on, go just look at the entire list and familiarize yourself with that list, because you never know what it is you're going to need. All right. Let me move that back over here. All right. I'm just bringing up. Another thing I do is I steal a lot from the docs. The Microsoft docs are amazing. I love them. But one of the things that you try not to do when you're building courseware like this is you don't want to basically reproduce the docs. The big reason for that is, well, people could just go read the docs. What they do when they come to my courseware is they take, I take the docs, or basically the same information that would be in the docs, and I basically try to turn it into information that makes it easier to understand. Someone coming into ASP.NET Core for the first time, jumping into these docs, are not necessarily going to know where to start. So I want to build the story of, why is model validation even something you need to care about? And then start walking through the ideas of, well, you have this model, and how does binding even work to begin with? Once we've discussed that, so actually I'm making notes for myself and I'm not realizing it. So we're taking into objects. I also don't want to be chatty about a lot of these topics. So what is model binding? It's basically taking data, getting from a request, or turning it into an object. And I put all this into the wrong place. This isn't model binding. This is validation. All right. So the big thing I want to talk about here are the from attributes. So you have from body, from query, you have from header, I'm missing one. What am I missing? I don't know. Good thing I got the doc sitting here. There we go, model binding. All right, bind properties. I don't think I'm going to talk about that. I also get to be selective about what I do and don't talk about, just based off of my own experiences from route. Okay. Yep. I've used this a couple times. A lot of that is default anyway. From route, from form. Oh, I didn't even think about that. All right, from body, yep. So part of my job when I jump in and I start talking about the bindings is I want to give an example of all three of these in use. They're not going to be a full blown out demo, but I think in one or two slides you can express how does from route work. So here's a route. Here's the thing we're binding to that says it's binding from the route. How does that binding occur? And I'm going to put these in some sort of order. Yeah, this is kind of the order that I would qualify them. I use from body. I've used from body often. From query slightly less often. I've used from header once or twice. Chat out there, if you've ever used from header in ASP.NET Core, let me know. It's not something I've done often, but I've had a couple cases where I've wanted to pull something out of a header, and you could do that manually. You don't have to do binding, but it's nice when you say, well, I want to get this header value. Let me go pull that out. From route. From route is kind of like done by default. Do they even have a section on from route? From route, yeah. No. So I might not even like build a demo on that. I might just say this is a thing that exists. So they talk about types, and what they spend a really good time documenting is just me talking for 2 or 3 minutes. Prefix, the parameter name. Several built-in attributes. I don't know if I want to go this deep into it. So this says bind required. I would just call that required. They technically do the same thing. All right, let's talk about collections. Yep. Ooh, should I get that granular with the bindings? I don't know. I don't think that's my job in this course, is to get super deep. Like this sort of discussion of how does a collection get model bound, it's almost a blog post. That's a deeper level of discussion. And dictionaries are the same way. All right, globalization, don't care. Special data types. We're not going to talk about uploading files and cancellation tokens or any of that stuff, so don't care. We're not going to talk about that. Custom model binders. I'm also not going to get that detailed. I talk about from services in another module. So I think it's in module 3. I have a list over here. Module 3 of this course. We talked about dependency injection. Just kind of as the preface for here's everything else that we're going to talk about. If you don't understand dependency injection, you're going to get really lost in ASP.NET Core because everything is dependency injection. Okay, so I think I have a pretty good basis here. So I'm probably going to do an example. JSON to Poco, or plain old C# object. So if I have an example and it's public, class, you know what, we'll use product. Might as well use that as much as possible. Let's copy product. And let's pop out all these requirements because we haven't talked about validation yet. We don't need to explain what's going on. And let's get some JSON here. So what's the JSON object look like? Well, the JSON object would look something like this. Name. Wonder thingy. Price $9.99. And then description. It does everything you can possibly imagine. All right. What are you complaining about? Hey, Jonathan. I'm glad you're here, bud. Thanks for tuning in. How are things going for you? Trying to go away from web forms and being dragged back in. So at least web forms, well, I don't have anything nice to say about web forms right now. It does its job really well. I think the problem with web forms is when you always try to make it do more than its job. All right, JSON to Poco. So that's a good example. And what I'll actually end up doing here is I'm showing you one of my favorite tools. It's called Carbon. So carbon.now.sh. I'll drop this in the chat. I love this tool because you can come in here. You can take some C#, some JSON, you name it, and you can tell it this is C# code, and it'll do the syntax highlighting for you. But not only that, it will also export. So I can download this as a PNG. It doesn't know where to put my code. So there we go. All right, let's find where this sample code is. All right, building API source. This is module 5. Yes. All right, this is example 1. Research debate on what technology you use for the rebirth of your website tools. Well, that's a big discussion. What's it narrowed down to? There it is. Okay, so Carbon creates these really nice graphics, and I use these in my slides instead of trying to copy paste format code in a PowerPoint slide. This just works so much better. Except there's a small, and one of the things I can do here, and this is my next favorite thing, is you see the URL. I can copy the URL. I could open this in another browser, hit enter, and it just reproduces all the code. They are supposed to have a pretty 5-year code in here. It doesn't work for C# code. It works for JavaScript. All right, but all right, let's go ahead and update that image. This is going to be example 1 PNG. Think about adding microservices so they are separate learning ASP.NET Core. Hey, well, if you need anyone who knows ASP.NET Core to help advise, let me know. That's what I'm really good at. I go back and forth on the debate on microservices. It's really easy to crap on monoliths because they're just really easy, because they're such big projects that you say, well, it's a monolith, it's hard to update and blah blah blah. But you then have these teams that break these things down into quote microservices and realize that, well, in order to update microservice A, we have to also make updates to microservice B, C, and D. And in that case, you might as well just be a monolith, because you're not saving any time or energy. So it depends on the makeup of the domain itself. So is the domain suited for microservices? Are they something that you would want to update independently of other things? Would they be managed independently of other things? That's kind of one of my keys. I have several applications that I started down the path of, well, maybe I should make these microservices, and went, no, because whenever we do a deployment, we're making subtle updates across all these services anyway. Let's just keep them all together. So you want to manage them separately, but does it logistically make sense to manage them separately? So I don't know. It's a fun discussion to be had. I'm glad I don't have to have that discussion with you right now. All right, let's copy some JSON. So I can come in here and I can say this is JSON code. JSON. There we are. So it does format JSON. Well, maybe it's already formatted. Okay, so let's export this. This is example 2. If I pre-create these graphics now, this saves me time later. Yeah, live coders is great for that. So anyone out there who's wondering about the live coders, so live coders is a team I'm a part of amazing men and women, all ages, backgrounds, creeds, you name it. Oops, I accidentally went to the page. You can go see who's live on Live Coders right now. There's usually at any point in time 5 or 6 of us, or even like up to 20 of us live. And what I love about that page I just posted in the chat, if you go there at say 2, 3 in the morning in the East Coast time, there's someone on the other side of the earth that's live and they're talking about stuff. Hey, thanks for the follow, Freddie. Glad you're here. I appreciate it. 100% all live coders are alive. Yep. Hi, Freddie. Wally, I'm glad to see you. Glad you can make it. Wally is the ultimate lurker. You never know when Wally's going to be there. Oh, and then Streamlabs drops in with the lurking message at just the right time. Don't forget creepy. Hey, there's nothing wrong. All right, so let's talk more about model binding. Hey, Chad, the ultimate lurker as well. Chad, I caught a little bit. So speaking of lurking, I did lurk on your stream earlier today. Mondays are always rough because my wife has errands she has to go run in the morning, so I take over dad duties, and this is a rough Monday because tomorrow is Cleaning Lady Day, and I don't know if anyone else out there can appreciate this, but Cleaning Lady Day is a day we dread. So our cleaning lady, so quote, we have a cleaning lady. She comes and she does bathrooms and the kitchen and vacuums, and she gets all the stuff that we kind of neglect over a 2-week period. So she comes and does all that stuff. But the night before the cleaning lady comes is the mad dash to just clean everything in the house. So you have to pre-clean for the cleaning lady. And today's that day. So I was up cleaning with the boys, and it's like, all right, well, I'm going to go work for a couple hours, and then came back. While having code streams on while you're working keeps you focused. Yes, absolutely. It's nice having that background just chat. And it's the thing I try to do here on my stream as well is just keep a conversation going. And there are points where I just am stuck and I'm thinking about a problem, and I have to keep reminding myself, hey, let's go ahead and keep talking. Don't have any internal thoughts, just let them all flow, and the chat will chime in if the chat has something to chime in on. Freddie, this repository on YouTube, not quite sure what's your question. So I do have a YouTube channel, which I'll drop a link to that as well. And what I normally do is I take these streams a day or two afterwards and drop them on there. I'm thinking about stopping that, just because I don't know how useful my banter for 2 hours is on YouTube. I don't know. So, but I might just keep doing it just in case. I actually do have a content calendar I've started because I have actual content I want to produce that's concise, to the point, and actually organized in a way that makes sense. I haven't started that yet because of this course. And once I finish this course, I'm going into full YouTube production mode on a whole bunch of ideas. But this course is really helping me get back into that mode. Content creation is a muscle that you need to exercise, and I just haven't exercised that muscle in a while. All right, chat. Yeah, you should definitely put your stuff on YouTube. It's just another place, because Twitch will delete your videos on demand after a period of time, and if you do anything that's worthwhile, it's probably useful to take that content and put it up on YouTube. Also, like Chad, yours, maybe this is just an idea for yours, because you break yours up into the little segments, like you talk about the news, like edit that video up and cut that as one YouTube video by itself, just talking about the news, and then maybe another video is you working on whatever you're working on. But like your Codapalooza interviews, that would be great for YouTube because people can link to them directly. All right, so let me go ahead and back up here. I want to talk about a couple. Those are on YouTube. Okay, gotcha. I actually don't know if I'm so is your YouTube channel Tail Learn Code? Tail Learn Code. No, 404 not found. Ooh. You don't have a vanity URL yet. Oh, you only have 9 subscribers. You have 54 videos but 9 subscribers. Let's take a look at Chad's channel. Hey, I like that guy right there. Yeah, you need 100 people for vanity. So I'll drop a link to Chad's channel here in the chat. Go give him subscribe. So I'm going to do it now myself. And we'll save that to a playlist. And I have one here. Oh, I had one. Videos featuring me. All right, so I'll add that to a playlist. But there you go. See, this is really good quality, Chad. There we go. Yeah, I like that. Even Stevens, the spam account, loved it. I like you, Stevens. Even though you're a spam account, you're A-okay in my book. And I bet that came in like 5 minutes after you posted the video too. All right, let's close that. Okay, so data manipulation. I do want to make an example here. So we're going to go take a look at one of our products. We'll create the carbon for that. You were still on the site when it came in. Yeah. Why is my wife texting me? Is it? Here we go. All right, so let's export that. We're going to call that example 3. And I should also post that this is example 3 PNG. All right, so HTTP post, let's just add some notes for this. Create new entity. HTTP put, you replace an entity. Delete an entity. And patch, you patch an entity. Patch or update an entity. Taking data requests and getting it. So for body, I'm going to move this up. We'll talk about from body first. So from body is basically the de facto example. Now the thing I'm trying to remember, and chat, help me out here if you know the answer off the top of your head. So from body, you don't necessarily have to use. That'll actually be the default behavior if you use it. So if I wrote code that said, here, I want to create a new product. It's a post request that takes in the body. So that comes in through the body of an XML or not XML, an AJAX request basically. That will automatically bind itself to the product. I don't remember the case of why you need to specify from body specifically. And I should probably look that up because that's important. From body. Get values from the request body. Hey, maybe the docs say apply the... Yep. Oh, that's right. You can put it directly. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that. I don't use ASP.NET Core in this way. I forgot that's something you can do. Okay. So I have two cases here. So you have signature-based binding, or then you have model. Signature-based model binding, and then you have object-based model binding. I might change that name later. I'm not sure. Totally forgot that's something you can do. All right. Actually, I'll talk about this a little bit later. Basic binding. So we'll talk about this. From that, all right, organize my thoughts. So let's take from body. From body will be down here. Don't apply from body. Yep, I already knew that. Okay. All right. Here's how we're going to talk about model binding. We're going to set up the idea that model binding is the concept of taking request data. So you have a request coming into the server, which I have talked about numerous times in this course. So request data is coming in. Now, when a request comes in, there's a lot of stuff in there. You have the actual path that you're calling. You have headers. You have the request body. There's a lot of stuff in there. How do we take aspects of that request that we need to know about, and we ask ASP.NET Core to just pull that information for us or bind it to objects that we're requesting? If we look at the most basic version of this without doing any decorating, just letting the framework do what the framework does, it starts out as simple as I have my action. My action takes a parameter, and ASP.NET Core will try to bind the request body to that object if the names match. So here I have ID, I have name, I have price, I have description. So if name, price, and description are filled out, those will get bound during a create. All right, I like where this is going. Okay, so we'll show that basic example and then describe that sometimes our binding is not as automatic as we would like it to be. So sometimes we have to tell ASP.NET Core, here's a helping hand. I want to help you jump over this hurdle and do my binding for me. That's where we introduce the binding attributes. So from body, from query, from header, from route, from form. Do I want to give an example of each of these? Jonathan, hey, I should use that as a testimonial on my website. If my company had money, you're at the top of our list, Kevin. I appreciate it. All right. All right, so good news, folks. My email that I sent out earlier only got 4 unsubscribes. Yay. That's good. 4 unsubscribes and 2 bounces. If you were higher on the food chain to ask for money, you would. Absolutely. What you do is you just subtly drop hints during meetings. Go, yeah, I know a guy who's a Microsoft MVP. He excels at this stuff, and he might even have availability. And someone would go, it's like, yes, let's bring Kevin in. It doesn't need to be, I'm totally selling to Jonathan here. It doesn't even need to be a long-term engagement. It could be a couple days and just in, out, add a little bit of value. And, you don't have to work with me anymore after that. All right. What time is it? It's only 3:45. All right, so from body, when would you use from body? I guess that would be if you were decorating the class. I actually need to play with some examples here because I'm not sure. Let's build an example. All right. Bump up my font for everyone playing at home. Let's build an example, just see what happens. So .NET New Web, we'll call this Playground. Oh. Okay. CD in the playground. Let's go ahead and open that VS Code. How many VS Codes can I have open today? All right, so this is the fun part. Let's create, we'll call it a products controller. And our products controller will be a public class products controller. The problem is I've already written all this code. Why am I rewriting it? Because I hate myself. Controller base. We'll say this is an API controller. it'll pass one method, which will be an I action results, create new product. And we're just going to say product, new product. I already written that code, so let's just copy and paste. Okay. I'm gonna do something that you probably shouldn't do. We'll go ahead and set price to from body. Yeah. And some using statements. From body. Try to use Visual Studio's IDE. I love Visual Studio as my IDE. I'm using VS Code because I need more practice using Visual Studio Code as an IDE. The next progression of our course, once we're done, is actually trying to talk about Asp Net Core Cross-Platform. And in order to support cross-platform, we need to do the work in VS Code versus doing the work in Visual Studio proper, because Visual Studio 2019 doesn't work on Mac, doesn't work on Linux, doesn't really support that cross-platform look and feel. So, and it's nice to kind of figure out where VS Code is lacking for a lot of this deployment or a lot of this development work. But yeah, Constantine, I'm with you. I love Visual Studio proper. All right. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. All right. Yep. JavaScript, HTML, CSS. I use it for all that stuff too. All right. So let's pop it from the query and we can say name. All right. I don't even need to set that. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong thing. Debug dot what's it called? You know what? Screw that. I'll just return OK. Set a breakpoint. Oh, I forgot to do all this other .NET stuff. I know. Shut up. Let's add controllers. Let's remove that and replace it with endpoints. Use, add controllers. Sorry, hold on. Map controllers. There we go. And then a product controller. This needs to map to HTTP post. Okay, I just want to see what that maps to. All right. Hey, thanks for the follow, Black Helicopter. That's a cool name. Welcome to the Shed Course. I'm so glad you're here. All right, let's run this example and just see what happens. All right, so this is going to load. Yeah, let me bring in Postman. There it is. All right, so clear all that. That was work I was doing earlier today. Nope, don't save. All right, we're going to create a new request. We're not going to go to our, just use our HTTP port. All right, so bump up the font a little for you. So we'll say API/products, and in the body of the product, we're going to drop some JSON. And what did I say the mapping should be? Price and description. Okay. It's big. It's heavy as wood. All right. And then, nope, go back to raw. And then, you would never do this. I just want to see if this does what I assume it is. Oh my gosh, I really should make all the examples in this particular module log. All right, how many Ren and Stimpy fans are out there? All right, send. Method not allowed. Oh, because it's a post. All right, so I hit a breakpoint over here. Let's take a look at our product. And I'll zoom in for everyone playing at home. All right, so it got description, it got price. It did not get name. So name was supposed to come from the query string. Yep. Okay. Now, shouldn't have to say name. Oh, I'm not running. Okay, let's try this again. This is kind of the fun part for me for .NET Core, is kind of figuring out what edge cases am I trying that may or may not work. Like this one, for example. So this is, I'm doing model binding. I'm telling the model, this comes from the body, that comes from the body. And I thought, hey, what if, could I tell it this comes from the query string? And that doesn't work. And I kind of assumed that wasn't going to work, but, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if I tried it and it worked, right? Okay, let's pop that out. We don't need that. Okay. So here's actually what I'm trying to get into, is I'm trying to remember the case where you would want to specifically say from body. Happy, happy, joy, joy, 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 joy. Da-da-da-da. Hey, kids. Man, I remember being like 9 years old and watching that for the first time and just thinking, this is the best cartoon I've ever seen in my life. Input from matters, not what I care about. All right, I might need to do some follow-up research on this later. It's like, why would you use from body specifically? Why would you designate from body? So I understand why you would use from query, from form, all that good stuff, because unless, no, so you can't. All right, let's just try something silly like X Kevin is awesome. Oh, wrong app. All right, so the name, we'll pull this from the header instead. So the header name will be X Kevin. They did make some cartoons. I'm not. It's safe to admit, I was pretty dang excited when I heard they were bringing back Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead was pretty pivotal in my growing up. Yep. So it didn't map that either. Why didn't it map that? So I gotta learn how to use VS Code. So this dot request. If I look at this, holy cow, that's a lot of headers. All right, there's X Kevin. Yeah. We were born in A1. I was born in A3. Yeah. So very close. All right, so it's pulling it. It's just not mapping it. So from body, from header. But if I took that by itself and just went Kevin and I dropped in from header, by itself, let's run this now. Ain't nothing wrong with 40, Jonathan. All right, so it binds there, but it doesn't bind in the object like I would assume it would. Okay. I don't think I'm going to go too in the weeds on this. I think, yeah, I can't get too in the weeds on this because for a course, it's not meant to get in the weeds. I think this little example I'm going through, this works really well for a blog post or me screwing around on stream. This is not good for a course. If you're learning ASP.NET Core ish, you're not going to follow my line of thought here. I'm not even sure if folks out there on the streamer are following my thought, but all right. So this actually helps. I'm glad I did that example. Okay. I'm not even going to talk about that. All right. I'll talk about the concepts there. So say from body. And I'll use this as an example. That's going to be C#. Let me just copy that verbatim. So this one will be from header, and then we'll drop the name of the header, which will be X. I don't want to say Kevin. Application ID. Oh, I forgot that. See, that makes sense. That's something that makes sense. So if you're using X dash headers in your request, you can put as much metadata in those as you want to. Those are super useful. All right, I like that example. Oh, but I put it in the wrong place. Header should go there. All right, but then from query. So this works really well with query strings. So if we were doing a post request, we could say from query string page. No, you wouldn't do it as that. You would do it, you do it int, and then from query page size. I have done that before. That works extremely well. So an HTTP, actually we could just say HTTP get to API/products, pass in a page and a page size. Get products. What's cool about this example, so let me go over here to my mockup. Yep. We'll return content. And that content will just be page, and then page size is equal to page size. So that way I don't need to do a breakpoint. So I can come back over here, go make this a give request, take that off. Go back in the params, so I can say page is equal to 5, and then page size is equal to 55. No, we'll make it something that's not 5. 44. So, yep. So the binding works there. This is an easy example to show. And it's a really good way to pull stuff out of a query string. What you can also do is, this is just for you all. I'm not even going to put this in the course. Set default parameters. So if the page size default is 50, you can set it to 50. And then same thing with the page. Like your default page might be 1. So if you run this, and go back in the Postman, if I hit send, I get back 5 and 44. But what if I drop off page? I just say I want a page size of 44. Well, it's going to assume page 1, and then the page size is 44. Likewise, I could say page is equal to 531. But assumes the page size is 50. Use that to your advantage. The only thing to keep in mind with when you set default parameters is you can't make the order matters. So you can't make page a not, or I'm sorry, I got that backwards. So if you say the default is page 5, page size has to have a setting. This will throw an exception or a build error. Actually, yeah, optional parameters must appear at the end, must appear after all required parameters. So I love this example. Okay, so we'll use that as a description from header, from route, from form. All right, so from route, this one is another one I don't think you need to specify. Yep, and there's no other example in the docs. Unless what it is you want to do is say, all right, products, then is product ID, or and we remove all this. So if you set int product ID, that would bind. All right. right, let me walk through this example because I'm not quite sure what happens. All right, so I know this works. If you come in here and say products 5103, it returns, it does the binding. That's fine. But let's change that. So this binding will not happen because ASP.NET, ASP.NET Core doesn't know how to bind that product ID to that product ID. And I actually believe it will not even throw an exception. I think it builds. I don't even know if it has a runtime exception. Yep. So it just it's default value. So default value of init is 0. However, if I say from route name is equal to product ID, I don't know why you would do this, but I think this is how it would work. Again, these are little things I don't think about in my day-to-day developments. I only think about it when I'm chatting with you all. Yeah, all right. So if for some reason you want your parameter name to be different than the name in the route, which I think in my particular situation does not matter. If you are doing convention-based routing, it might matter more. But there ain't no reason for anyone to do convention-based routing. So we'll pull this as an example. We'll pull that as an example. I don't know if I like that as an example. Okay. From form. Now from form, again, so if we set this up. It said post. Instead of doing body, if we did form data, which folks do. Description. It's big. It's heavy. It's wood. Everyone wants a log. Everyone needs a log. Log. From Blamo? By Blamo? Something like that. Man. Name. All right. Let's go ahead and decorate this. All right, let's pop that out. All right. This I think I remember was a problem. Let's reset our breakpoints. Let's hit send. Unsupported media type. Oh, because I didn't change it. No, I changed that to a post. Crap. I did something. What did I do wrong? I'm trying to remember how. API/product, yep. Yep, same thing, but if we do it encoded, there we go. All right, unsupported media type. If you are sending it via form post. What am I forgetting? Huh. That's not the error I was expecting. Well, it's a good thing I got Google over here. So it's probably like a dumb, simple answer. All right. So, yeah, from form should do that. Okay. Let me restart. Maybe I screwed something up. Did I restart the? Let's try that again. No. MT, what do you think about backend technology? About the performance, which is best? Well, I am super biased. I love ASP.NET Core. So it's my rule of thumb is you need to develop on what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with anything, hey, you should totally learn ASP.NET Core. It is a future-proof system, employment-wise. Second to that, so let's talk about what's it called? Tech Empowered benchmarks. Yeah, Tech Empowered benchmarks. So what I like about Tech Empower, so the ASP.NET team in particular, when they do a lot about they do a lot of performance work. So what's interesting about this is you can come in and say, well, let's look at composite scores. I think composite scores is if you compare everything together. So this is really hard to read. So look at something like ASP.NET Core. What does the T mean? I don't know what that means. So maybe we don't. Let's just use something like a single query. All right, you know what? Plain text. Let's look at plain text. So plain text simply means a request comes in, how quickly it can send back a response, a plain text response. It does nothing else. Best performance, higher is better. ASP.NET Core sitting right there on the top. What is that? ASP.NET Core. I don't know what I'm assuming like Red Hat something. I don't know what the T means. What does the T mean? Frameworks flagged with the T icon are part of the Tech Empowered Performance Rating Measurement. Are visible. Okay. All right. Never mind. So this is what the team does: is they come through and they look at things like JSON serialization. What's important to you? Like ASP.NET Core doesn't rank in the top 10 on this, which. Where's it even rank? ASP.NET. Yeah, it's down in the hundreds. A couple hundreds. And that's one of the things they might not have tested on in a while. I know they've been working on improving that. Let's look at single query. Single query ASP. Oh, I typed too much. Yeah, so ASP Core, ADO.NET, talking to Postgres. That was 50. One of the things you're going to notice on a lot of these performance benchmarks is that the big successful ones, like this, these are written in Rust, C++, C++, Java. I'm not seeing as many Java up in the top tiers anymore, but like 2 or 3 years ago, all Java. Like Java was the place for performant web frameworks. C++, Java. You know what you're not seeing in here very often? JavaScript. Like Node.js does not rank super high in performance. So, take that for what it's worth. You have a couple in here that rank. But like Rust, I really want to spend some time with Rust. It's but hasn't been too high on my list. Jonathan, didn't they say that about web forms being future proof? I don't know. It was actually before my time. I do remember learning web forms and going, oh my gosh, this is awful. I don't want to build web applications. And then discovering jQuery and getting a little bit more down to the metal. And then in 2007, ASP.NET MVC was released and you didn't have to write web forms anymore. Oh man, life was great. Like life was amazing back then. I appreciated that so much. So what's this? Dragon Core. I have to wait for them. Where's the tooltip? Postgres on Linux. Raw database connectivity, full stack class, realistic approach. Yep. And that's what you want to look for, is realistic approaches. So what's interesting about like things like plain text and why this might be important is if you're building a single page application where ASP.NET Core is acting as the thing delivering the page load and the JavaScript and all that good stuff, but then you're using it also for APIs. Well, that plain text loading is super important because you just need to get that out to the client as quickly as possible. So then, like the other thing is, let's pick cache queries again. You live in C++. You cannot pay me enough to do C++ again, like professionally. I have done it. It's been a long time. I have no ambition to go back to that world. I don't want to do C++ anymore. And the same way you couldn't pay me to do Java. Like I would get into Java and just go, man, it's so close to C#, but yet so far. And yeah, so that's not me. But man, you see stuff like this iron. What's iron written in? Iron's written in Rust, and they had 73,000 errors. But still ranked high. It was fast, but wrong. All right, so let's close that. So what was I looking at? I was looking at, why was my form? So it's giving me the media type error. Java, it's like C# with most of the nice tools missing. Exactly. And the funny thing is, if Java had just been a little bit more open back in the early 2000s, we would be writing Java and not C#. But it's because Java was just, or was it Oracle? Sun? Yeah, who was running Java at the time. They just didn't want to accept any input from Microsoft because Microsoft was evil back then. So Microsoft just went, well, screw you. We'll go create our own thing. Learned Pascal in high school. We never had to learn Pascal. When I was in high school, it was C++. In college, it was C++. I got out of college right before they moved to Java as their primary language. I'm so thankful for that. I feel my professional outlook was better because I knew C++ than having learned Java. I mean, that's just me, but Pascal basic, quick basic. I did some mean quick basic when I was 9. All right. Why is this stupid thing not accepting my input correctly? I bet it's something silly too, like some configuration type I'm missing. But if yep. Some of these Stack Overflow questions are so dumb. So let's look at this one. So this guy is actually explaining the error that's happening. I'm using Postman, and Postman is returning unsupported media type. So there's nothing, or so the only problem with his is he's using from body instead of from form, which he should be using. So yeah, so see, I'm doing that. This is the problem. There's no one coming in going, this doesn't work. Unless API controllers can't accept, unless because it's an API controller. What if? I don't think that matters. Nope, same error. Yep. Captain, I had to take a C++ and a Java class. There's the first 2 programming language you had to take before Visual Basic. Oh, VB6. I loved VB. So I had started with Quick Basic, QBasic, and I was like 9 or 10. And my neighbor down the street said, hey, you want to try this? And gave me, SneakerNet at the time, he gave me 3 floppy disks that had VB3 on them. And so I tried VB3. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. You can just click and drag and move things around. And you build Windows apps. This is cool. So I built little apps with VB3. And then I just forgot about VB. And I think the next time I jumped into VB, it was probably like VB6. I had to build a small app for a company I was working with. All right, why are you not? Is it just because unsupported media type? Why it's not unsupported? It's totally supported. It is totally supported. Why is it not working? Winforms, yeah, it was kind of nice. Like if you spent some good time with the editor in Winforms, and you built out how everything was to look. My favorite was getting really good about it and setting constraints. It's like, all right, well, if the window grows, then this text box needs to grow with it. And if it shrinks to this. And don't let the window get so small. Have a minimum width on it or height. That was just so much fun. And then you had things like the component vendor. So if you got your Dev Express tools or your Tailwork tools at the time, you set all these different settings and you had these cool components. Life was just so much fun back then because I felt like I was more productive faster. And Nowadays, it just feels like I spend 2 hours on one little thing, and that's a win. It's like, oh, yes, I got this one little thing working. Back then, you build an entire app in an afternoon, and you feel great about it because it just worked. All right, let's close some of these windows. All right. I'm not sure why my form binding's not working. And that's weird. That should be working. Unless do I need to? I don't need to do anything here, do I? This is something I don't. You can always tell this is the stuff I don't spend very much time in. Builder. No. Builder. No. Hey, Jonathan, take care. Thanks for stopping by. As always, bud. Jonathan is a VIP. All right, why? All right, I'm not going to spend any time on this because I don't think it matters. All right, so then I need to find an example of from form that works. From form posted fields. So how? All right, maybe I don't. To do example. Okay, so then I'm going to do... All right, so the way the course goes, I show a bunch of slides. I talk through the concepts. I get into a demo. Well, I'll actually do like a hands-on demo, similar to what I just did for you all, where we'll just pick one thing. And I will probably not spend very much time on these other things. So I might show like from query, like showing this example live is awesome. And probably from body. Like from body, I won't show from body. That will just happen by default. These are questions I need to ask myself. Why would you use from body when it happens by default? Okay, so I don't know. So model validation, we talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream. So I want to talk about a couple core concepts. We want to make sure it's good data. And hey, I've been streaming for almost 2 hours now. If you are just joining us, thanks for joining. My name's Kevin. I'm a Microsoft MVP. My focus is in ASP.NET Core and general web development and doing work in Microsoft Azure. If you're hanging out with me, that's probably why you're here. And I try to go live at least 2, 3, 4 times a week. It just depends on how my schedule works. I'm an independent consultant, so my time really varies based off of, all right, who's our clients answering their emails on time, basically. So if you are hanging out with me and you want to hang out for more, possibly in the future, hit that little heart below my body and give me a follow, and you'll know when I go live in the future. And today we have been working on some courseware, building a course on building APIs in ASP.NET Core. And we're kind of walking through the concepts for model binding and model validation in the context of data manipulation. So if you're building an API, you're probably going to have to send data in to the API. So creating new data, updating it, deleting it, that sort of thing. So, we're talking through those concepts. For model validation, I decided I don't want to talk about everything. So I was going through the notes and the documentation, trying to decide what should I talk about. Rerun validation. I don't do that very often, but that might be worth touching on. Validation attributes. Yep, this is the cool stuff. Classic movie 1960. What? Oh, okay. Should I talk about... All right, chat. Here's a poll for you. Something like custom attributes. If you're just learning about data validation, do you want to learn how to build your own custom attributes? So I probably wouldn't do a demo on it. I would probably just show a slide that talks through the concept. So like maybe two slides that talk through the concept. Is that something you would want to learn? It's nothing I do heavily in any of my apps. And when I do, I just go to, when I need to do it, it's nothing that's retained in memory. It's something I have to go to the documentation for. I'm going to make a note about it. Rather than not be confused, just note that custom. Yep. Okay. Cool. Attributes are a thing. All right. Yeah, we're definitely not going to get to validatable object. Maximum errors. I'm not touching that. Not touching that. Automatic short circuit. Disable validation. Yep. I don't know why you would do that. Client-side validation. Oh my gosh, this is a blast of the past. We're not doing anything with client-side because we're building APIs. So we also don't need unobtrusive validation. We'll skip that. Disable. Yeah, okay. Remote. Never used remote before. What's remote? Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Not important for us. APIs don't care about that. This is talking a lot of client-side stuff, which is not important. Yeah. All right. So this is another nice thing about building a course. 80% of this document isn't vital to APIs. The parts that are vital to APIs are things like required. I don't think people care about how do you override the message for a field is required. You're not going to do that. All right. So basically, how do you ensure that the model coming in is valid? You use model is valid. You can create custom attributes if you want to, and Should I add in here like regular expression? And then say if you hate yourself. If you hate yourself, you can do model validation based off of a regular expression. No, don't do that. And, you know, people like to crap on regular expressions. There are actual useful reasons to use a regular expression, but okay. Well, I think that's, y'all probably can't tell from my notes, but this tells me exactly what I need to do. I need to turn all these in the slides. And it's probably what I'll do tonight and get all that done. Tomorrow, what am I working on tomorrow? So tomorrow I'm going to work on slideware for basically error handling. We're going to talk about response types. So return it okay. You have bad request. You have forbidden. There's a lot of action results that you can return. So we're going to talk through those. Then I need to dive in and do some of my own research on Swagger. This is one of the places where I understand what Swagger is supposed to do, and I've never used it before, but I need to teach a 20-minute module on it. So I get to learn enough to figure out what the important stuff is so I can teach it and get that done. And then we're going to have a discussion on API versioning. So that should be pretty straightforward. I've done that a couple times. Cobra Sean, it's easy. Swagger's easy. I know Swagger's easy. I've just never done Swagger before. Semver, yeah. Semver with your APIs, yeah. So that's all fun stuff we're going to work on in the future. I'm making my notes. But what time we got? All right, it is 4:40. It is an excellent time to wrap up. Let's see who's on the Twitch. If you're not already, go ahead and hit the little heart underneath me and give me a follow. Oh man, no one's online. All right, let's see who's on from Live Coders. Oh, I am a member of the Live Coders team. There's a lot of good people in here. Oh man, there are a lot of folks live right now. Now, who have I never rated before? Let's see. All right, I need to wait for the ad to finish. I had turned off my uBlock on Twitch just because I was trying to figure out. Heard Griff is pretty good. Yeah, let's go raid that guy. Okay, what's he working on? XLift Tech writes Python, Dead Snakes, and pre-commit CI. Huh, okay. Tutor Excelis. Wie geht's mit dem Tool? Vita geht's mit dem Tool. So I speak enough German to know. I don't know what that says. Jitter Ted was TDD and Java for the Yacht dice game. All right. Mega Damage. Old Dev here. Oh, no, he's not speaking English. I have no idea what he's saying. So I send you all there. Tyler, Microsoft Hackathon. What's Tyler working on? Well, he's running C#. My kind of guy. Let's take a look. Tyler might be who we go to, because I think he's speaking English. You know what? Why not? Let's go give Tyler some love. All right, here's the rules of a raid. If you've never done a raid with me before, I'm not very picky. Go over to Tyler. You're going to jump in. You're going to say hi to Tyler. And just watch for like 5 minutes, and then you can go off and you can do something else. But make sure you stick around for a couple minutes. Say hi. Give him a follow if you want. But yeah, with that, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Take care.